Welcome back, everybody. I'm Prabhanshu Kumar Singh and delighted to have you here as we continue our exploration of Redis Cache. If you have missed my earlier video of introduction of Redis Cache, then I have provided a link in the description below. Today I am going to continue with the session of Redis Cache in Azure. Here we'll create the resource, Redis resource in Azure and try to integrate the same resource in Node.js. Yes, we'll do some hands-on on some of the different Redis commands for creating, reading and writing the data in Redis. Without further delay, let's quickly jump right to the session of Redis Cache in Azure.
Most of the cloud service providers are providing us this particular as a service in their platform. For example, Azure provides the same Redis cache as a Azure Redis service, and we can use that particular Azure Redis service for as a PaaS architecture that will basically help us from the overhead and the maintenance that is required if we are going to do the same thing in a particular uh, in-prem architecture or maybe in IaaS architecture, infrastructure as a service. In this particular presentation, we'll mostly talk about the Azure Redis service. So let's jump over that particular services available in the Azure. So Redis is a open source, right? We can install in any kind of VM, even in our personal laptop also, and we can run that service and then you can we use it. But since we are using it from the Azure, it will minimize the overhead of the maintenance of the that whole particular caching service. Same thing is implies here for Redis also. So in the in the Azure, we have a basic particular resource group where we can create a Azure Redis cache service, and once it will get up, then we are able to. They will provide us some kind of client key and secret key via which, and we can connect to the Azure Redis and communicate. That means either we can read and write both the thing in the Azure Redis. The most of the key scenario is that the data caching, content caching, session store, job and message queuing, and the distributed transactions, those things. That means actually we have already talked about this particular thing while we are giving the introduction about the cache service. So here also Redis also implement the same thing, data caching that will help us retrieve the data with low latency. Uh, Content caching, that means we can even store the whole HTML file in memory and we can quickly access that particular static components. Okay. Session caching means we can store we can also store like JWT token and those things as a blacklisted token. So whenever any user gets log out, we can maintain a session that this token is already um, the user is already logged out, so this token now no further will be used. Sometime what happened, the token has the expiry date or expiry time of 1 hour, but some user takes the login and log out after within a 5 minute. Then even if anybody can use that token after that, obviously that token is valid. So for that particular thing, so for next 55 minutes, obviously that token is valid. So an intruder can do this kind of thing, right? So to control this kind of thing, we can use a session store also in the Redis. The same way, I have just given you the token stuff as example, but we can use even the user information and the user session also in the Redis. Basically, these are the scenario where we are basically using the cache service and in particular Redis. First of all, obviously we need a subscription and we have to create a resource group before moving ahead. And even we can whenever we are creating a Redis cache service in Azure, then there is also a option that we can create a new resource group. So I will show you later on. I will give the demonstration how to configure the Azure cache, Azure Redis in Azure. So here are some points that we need to create a resource and this thing, and then page configuration. Obviously, when we go for a creating a Redis, then there is a like 3 to 4 pages where we have to provide the information, even the subscription model, type of cache, then node, those things we have to provide it, and later on we are going to create the cache. So after this presentation, I will go through all the process and will show you how we can create a Redis cache in the Azure. So establish a connection with the Node.js. Yeah. So in particular, we are describing here the how we can create a no connection with the Node.js, but the same process will be followed even we are developing even we need to create a connection with the Python or any other programming language. So after the creation of the Redis service, we move to in the overview page, we can see their access keys. Basically, these access keys, we have basically password and the security key. That means client ID. So these two things we have to use for making a connection with the Azure. So this is the thing that we need to do, the whole process, that creating a Azure cache, Redis cache in a Azure, and we'll show you how to create a Azure cache in next 5 minutes. So first of all, we have to go to the portal.azure.com. If you don't have your account in Azure portal.azure.com, then you have to create an account there, and then we have to jump over the creation flow. So here we'll go for resources, and we have a day. So when we create a go for a creation of a resources, we have multiple option here. So either we can directly search from here, or we can go following the path. That means the Azure service belongs to the databases. So when we go, sorry, cache service, Redis cache service belongs to the database section. So if you are here, then we will see by default it is not coming, then we have to type here. So we are searching for Redis here. Okay. So here we see there is one of the service available from the Azure, Azure Cache for Redis. This is the service that we have to create implementing the Redis. So let's quickly create it. Okay. That here also we see there is a sum of the plan, that is basic, standard, and premium. So we'll create a Azure Cache for Redis service with the basic plan. So yeah, here we have to provide the subscription. And if you don't have a subscription, obviously if you are creating a free account in the Azure, then you have some free account subscription already. You have to select that one. And the resource script where we want to create a particular this Redis service. So here I am taking the RAP R&D, and we have to provide some DNS name. It's a unique name that we have to provide, and this particular DNS name will be used while connecting to any of the programming language. So let's suppose I am giving here some R&D cache Redis service. Hope it will be unique. Yeah, it is unique. Now here the cache type. They are mentioning the cache type. By default, they are providing the standard C1. But as I told you, we are going for a basic one. Then here we have one basic one, C0 250 MB. There is a no SLA. For the presentation perspective, it is fine to take this one. So uh, we are basically selecting the um, basic cache type. Fine. Then we'll move to the networking. So by default, it is given the public endpoint for the basic one, and we are okay with that one. Now move to the advanced one. Okay, Redis version, we are always taking the latest 6 version, and we don't have to make any change here. Then the tags, it doesn't require. If you want to do add, then we can add it. For this presentation, we don't need any tags. Then we'll move to the review and create section. So here we can review all the information that we have given in the whole process of creation, and it is validating also. So now since we have a validation pass, that means it is already done. That means validation is passed. Now we can create it easily. There won't be any obstacle while creating. So once we'll create it, now it will take some time to create it, around 5 to 15 minutes. So while it is uh, creating, I will create a duplicate tab, and also I have already created one Redis. So also here you how we can implement that one. So what how to get the keys and those things that I have already mentioned. So the Redis creation process is all totally completed. Now we are in the process of connection of the Redis with the any of the programming language. So we basically need three keys: host, security key, and client key. We'll see here. So I quickly jump over my already created Redis service. So it is available in the RAP R&D resource group. Let me search here. So this I have created right now, which is still in progress. We can see here deployment is in progress, and this particular service I have already created. So I'll show you how we can get that keys. So first of all, we will move here, and it will show some kind of memory usage and those things. So here also we can see the capacity of this particular basic plan is only 250 MB. So here capacity is already defined. Now I'll show you how to take that. So this primary key is the password, where we can take this password and use this while we are connecting from any program language to the Redis service. So this password we have to take, and then we have inside the properties we have a host URI name, this one. So this will be used for the connection. So let me see what other things that we need to take. Okay, so we need only the host name and the password. So I have already shown you from the properties we have to take the host name, and from the access keys we have to take the primary one. This is the password basically. After utilizing these two things, we can um, implement this particular Redis cache, Azure Redis cache service in any of the programming language. So right now I will demonstrate here how to use the how to integrate the Azure Redis cache in Node.js in a specific. So we are here in the integration part. First of all, I'll show you what are the dependency, but that we need to install it and do write, read, and those things in the Azure Redis. So for this implementation in the Node.js side, first of all, we need to install this Redis library. It is an NPM library and it is easily available. After that, we need two things, that is the cache password that I have already shown you, and the host name. So basically with the host name and password, we are able to connect to the Azure Redis service that we have created. Now, this is the function that where we are basically uh, testing the connections, and then we are basically getting we have written here get method, that means to get the data from the uh, cache, and the set method, that means to write the data in the cache. And also I have checked for the expiry one, so how to integrate the expiration time with the key value pair that we are storing in the Redis cache. So So first of all, we have to create a connection, and for the connection, we are passing the URL, and the host name will be taken. And by default, 6380 is the default port for the Redis cache. We can change the port also. So this is the URL that we need to create using the host name and the password that we have got from the overview page. Now, first of all, before doing any cache related stuff, first of all we have to make a connection, and then we'll start to uh, do our activities like getting the data from the cache, updating the data in the cache, writing the data in the cache, those things. So here I have written some commands. The ping command is normal, just to figure out whether we have a basically connection ready or not. And then we have a get command. So here in the first place, I have written this message. That means we will not get anything from this command. Then we are setting on message, we are setting a value, this particular thing. Then we'll get this is the set command, that means writing the data in the cache. Again, I am writing the data in the cache with expiry time, just to test whether expiry will work or not. And here we are getting the we are checking the message. So basically retrieving the data that is available over the key message that we have set here. So it will give us this particular thing. And here we have tested the expiry one. So I have set the key for 1 second, and I am retrieving the same key message one after 1500 millisecond. That means 15,000, yeah, 1500 millisecond. That means 1.5 seconds. So in this particular part of time, we will not get any data. So we are checking here the expiry one. So this is the overall that we need to check here for today, and we'll quickly jump over here. So we'll start the service. Okay, the service is up. Now we can test here. So this is the endpoint that I have created for testing the Redis. And in the body, we don't have to provide anything, right? JSON token. So I have basically hit this particular endpoint, and I have logged some of the thing here. And you will see here, once we are trying to see the connection is set or not, yeah, that is set. Then we are basically, I'll show you command wise how we are moving. So then we are getting the message here directly. So it is already, because since I have used this one earlier also, so it is showing us the earlier saved item. That is fine. Then we are basically setting the command message one. That gives us the console log that okay, set message again. So we are basically setting two times. One is message, another one is message one. For both the command, we get okay, there is a okay response from the Redis. Then we basically get the message one. Obviously, we will get this message. After that, when we checking for the expiry thing, so the expiry time is 1 second, and then we are testing retrieving the data after 1.5 second. You see, we will not get any message here. If you see, this is expiry message where what I have written here for this particular command, we will not get the message because it is already expired. So this is the overall thing, overall process of Redis, how we can implement in Azure and how we can integrate it with Node.js. And obviously, we have checked lots of commands like setting, getting, and even the setting the expiry time.
Throughout this video, we have covered a range of important concepts from creating a resource for Redis in Azure and implementing it in Node.js. By now, you should have a clear, solid foundation and a clear understanding of how to implement or apply these concepts in a relevant scenarios. If you have any question or need of further clarification, please feel free to leave a comment below. I will be happy to assist you. If you really enjoyed this video and found it valuable, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Until then, keep coding, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of yourself as a full stack developer.